It's been 8 years since the first Mirror's Edge made a name for itself with its unique first-person parkour and clean futuristic stylings. And now we finally have a sequel. Well, it's more of a reboot, really, with Mirror's Edge Catalyst.
Yes, the original Mirror's Edge definitely earned a cult following back in the day, but it didn't sell that well, which would explain why it's taken so long for a new one to get a green light.
It was a brave experiment and a bit of a risk for a big publisher like EA and a big developer like DICE. It had promising original gameplay, although it never really felt like it hit its full potential, and it came out with mixed reviews. So that's why it's so exciting for DICE to have another crack at it.
Well, now we're back in the shoes of Faith, who's just been released from prison and soon finds herself tangled up with her old runner friends.
I'm Icarus. Noah sent me.
Breaking the law and running on lots of stuff.
Time to get off the ground.
Yes, the world is controlled by the conglomerate who lord over a dystopian society, where everyone has to get a special implant which makes sure they get a job and contribute to society.
If you do not find employment within 14 days, you'll be relocated to a Greenland facility. Do you understand?
So groups of runners subvert authorities by running on rooftops and delivering things the old-fashioned way, without the help of brain mail or drones and free from the prying eyes of Big Brother.
And just like the first game, most of what you do involves running over things, under things, onto things, around things, and generally just moving a lot. This is all about finding the quickest path and keeping up that momentum.
And the movement system is excellent. You pretty much have one button to go up and climb, and one button to slide and go down. But depending on things like whether you hold them down, how you time them, and the direction you're moving, you can pull off different moves.
It really is a simple but effective control scheme, and it just makes you feel like a free-running boss.
It's one of the few things that hasn't changed at all.
You wouldn't think it would be as compelling as it is, but I just find it so hard to put down. Just one more run.
Yeah, absolutely. There is one thing that's a bit different now, and that's skill trees, which you upgrade with XP. One each for movement, combat, and gear.
It does seem a little odd at first that some basic and essential moves like a roll, for example, which helps you keep speed after a big jump, are locked away. I mean, isn't it weird that a free-running legend like Faith needs to unlock the ability to roll?
Yeah, what, did she just forget?
Yeah, she just suddenly, oh yeah!
Oh yeah, she just tripped over and rolled it. Oh, that's right, I can do that. It's not a deal breaker though. You'll unlock it fairly quickly, and I never felt hamstrung by the lack of skills or moves outside of that. It seems like half of the skills are unlocked from the start anyway, and most of the upgrades are just improvements, like more health, or the ability to climb things faster.
Yeah, that's true, and I do always enjoy having a few upgrades and abilities to work towards in a game.
One new big thing is that this is set in an open world now, and I find that really exciting. It's a great direction for this game to go in. There are a few fairly big interconnected hubs that you unlock as you progress, and this makes everything far less linear, with plenty of paths to explore.
And as you progress, you get some new bits of gear to play with, like a grapple hook you can swing from,
Faith, you'll need to go across Turing Avenue.
or the ability to pull down planks blocking your way. And these open up some new areas in old ones to give you new ways to get around. It took about 10 hours to get through this, I think, just focusing mostly on the main story missions, but there is a lot to keep you busy here as well if you're a completionist.
The areas are well designed too. They're all fun to run around in. And there's also lots of collectibles to find and side missions to do. I love how they all feel unique, but they still fit into this clean, homogenized world.
Yeah, I do love the design of everything.
Faith. Come on home.
The corporation clearly has a big thing for clean, minimalistic architecture and bright, cohesive color schemes. You'll be in big trouble if you want to put up some red curtains in the purple zone.
It's like if the world of Blade Runner was full of super clean freaks who are also super anal about color theory. There are a few points though where the design does feel a bit gamey. Like, who thought this pipe should go here? The only reason you'd put that pipe there is if the whole world was full of people who love sliding under stuff.
Well, that is the world they live in. I know what you mean, though. You can tell they've tried really hard to make this world feel a little bit more believable and lived in, with NPCs kind of going about their lives. But it still all feels just a little bit removed from you somehow. The occasional NPC stands around, but it will just blankly stare at you and won't react to your presence at all, while most people are generally tucked away safely behind glass.
Maybe it's trying to symbolize that those people are like animals trapped in the zoo of modern society, shackled down by their own employment.
It's very deep of you, Barjo.
Still waters run deep, Hex. I do feel like this world is so purposefully designed, though, that I started to develop this leap before you look mentality. I just started to assume that there was always going to be a thing for me to jump onto. And often, there is not.
You'll go berserk, I'm sure. We've had this discussion once already.
Yeah, and there's quite a long load time to get back into the game after you die, on Xbox One at least. Which sucks because it breaks the flow of everything.
Yeah, that was a real pain point for me. One of the major criticisms of the original game was that Faith could disarm enemies and use their guns. And that kind of went against everything that made Mirror's Edge so unique.
Yeah, well, now there's none of that. In fact, the guns in this game are biometrically programmed to its user only, so she couldn't even pick up the guns if she wanted to. Now she just has to rely completely on her trusty fists and feet.
And I think that was the right direction to take, but I'm not sold on this combat.
Yeah, it's a bit of a mixed bag, isn't it? I mean, I can see what they were going for, but it just doesn't work a lot of the time. I mean, generally you're encouraged to always be on the move, launching attacks off walls or quickly brushing off enemies as you make a run for it.
Yes, and once you've built up enough speed and strung together a few moves, you build up a focus shield, which basically makes you invulnerable to bullets and attacks.
Force is down.
And I think in those situations where you can keep that momentum up and string together attacks, that's when the combat works and it's really satisfying, but there just aren't enough opportunities to do that.
Yeah, I mean, more often than not, you find yourself in small rooms with a few guys to deal with where there often isn't a lot of opportunity to get up speed or pull off fancy moves. I mean, those are the situations where it starts to feel really clunky and underwhelming.
Yeah, you're encouraged to kick enemies into each other or objects, which often causes them to stumble or just die. But it just looks a bit ridiculous watching two guys stumble into each other and fall over.
Stay in place, Leech.
Just doesn't really have the impact that that sort of thing needs.
Yeah, it's really awkward, isn't it? While this is mostly a single-player only game, there are a few online features which is nice to see. For example, there are billboards around the place that you can hack, which will show up in your friends' games.
But best of all are the custom-made time trials. You'll find these all over the place, and it's easy to create your own ones as well. I love that stuff. It's always tempting trying to topple your friends' times.
Oh, what about the story? What did you think of that?
It's a bit of a slow burn, isn't it? It wasn't until the second half that I started to feel particularly invested and interested in what was going on.
Our orders were to capture them, but they resisted.
What did you do?
We had to shoot!
But overall, I thought it had some good twists and turns. The cutscenes look great, and there's some solid performances as well.
You can see yourself out.
Wait, what? That's it?
What else is there?
What did you think of it?
Yeah, I mean, things got quite interesting towards the end. One thing they do a lot of, though, is talk to you over the radio, which is often used quite effectively in games, but I just found it really hard to focus on here.
Again? Now what? Sorry, but the less you know, the better.
It's just really hard to concentrate on running and not falling to my death and listen to what they're saying.
I'm running the goddamn zoo. Come talk to me when you're done, Faith.
Yeah, it just becomes white noise after a while, doesn't it? What are you giving it overall, Hex?
Well, the combat does drag it down a lot, but the story and the striking design and that excellent running just pulled me through. So I'm giving it 3.5 out of 5.
There is a lot to like. The running, the open world stuff was great, but I don't think they've cracked the formula yet for the series. So I'm giving it 3 out of 5.